Hello and welcome to the MJ Rowe Music Show. I'm your host, MJ Rowe, and today, to hopefully get some more views on this channel, I'll be reviewing a commercial album, and so I'll be doing The Rainbow by K$. Now, for those of you who don't know, Kesha was an absolutely massive pop star in the early 2010s, having massive hits like TikTok and blah blah blah, that sort of stuff, especially We Are Who We Are, which was #1 over here in the UK. And she specialised very much in sort of dirty, rough, teenagey, pop party music with a very electronic, synthy edge, very similar to what Lady Gaga was doing around that sort of time. And I'd say, yeah, it was basically good fun, perfect chart stuff, just good and catchy, stuff like that, perfect for a party as it was totally meant. But it had very mixed opinions, with many critics not being sure of Kesha's rebellious teenage image, saying she was very manufactured, didn't have that much personality, with many also criticising her overly simple lyrics and sort of not very deep music, just all very along the same lines, very manufactured, without any real instruments and stuff like that. With many also criticising her vocal style, which is also very hip-hop based in delivery, but others said it was just talking and overly auto-tuned, which in effect it was. Whether that was stylistic or just a vocal problem, I don't know. But in the past few years, she hasn't been in the music press for the reason of her music, but for the reason with her in the law, where basically she started a lawsuit in 2014 where she wanted to break her recording contract so she could work with other labels and producers, saying that her producer, Dr. Luke, was crushing her artistic integrity and had also sexually abused her on various occasions and also emotionally destroyed her. But when it went to court, the judge ruled against her, saying she would not... But when it went to court, the judge was against her, refusing to decimate her contract, thus prompting a big fan project online, the hashtag #FreeKesha, which soon spread rapidly across the internet and gained various signatures. She received emotional supports from various other artists, including Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato, Adele and Taylor Swift, and eventually managed to break free of her contract and start recording this new album, Rainbow. But it's basically impossible to listen to this album without thinking of the context surrounding it. Her experiences come through all across it, a very personal album indeed, with pretty much every track having lyrics of empowerment and rising above the impossible, or whatever the odds are. Particularly with the lyrics on the tracks Praying, Him and Learn to Let Go, which on most of these she now has more of a Katy Perry-ish vibe, like on the tracks Raw, which comes across in the vocalisation and also the instrumentation as well. Seeming a bit cliche in the modern pop, because it sounds like what a lot of us have all heard before in a lot of hits, but here it feels more powerful when you know the actual story behind it, that there is actual experience and struggle reigning through the lyrics. But this album definitely also strayed a bit farther from the original Kesha albums in how it's more country-based, and this is in part to her collaborations with Dolly Parton, one of Kesha's idols and another artist who supported and worked with her throughout the course of recording the album and the struggle. So there's a country tinge all across it, especially on tracks like Woman, and especially on the track Hunt You Down, where there's lyrics of like gunslinging and cowgirls and stuff like that. Plus, another complaint about Kesha, which is now gone, is the lack of deep instrumentation, which is also strong throughout this album, particularly on Praying, where you've got the full lot, the violins, the piano, the crowd, and also her vocals have changed on this one. He's not so much doing the talk sing as opposed to trying to hit the high notes, especially on Praying, where there's one particular high note which has all fans going, "Oh," as seen on various reaction videos across YouTube. But alas, the old Kesha is still alive, so long-time Kesha fans, you definitely won't be disappointed. The electro-pop is still very relevant all across the album, particularly on the track Him. God, how did I get that wrong? And those loud, rebellious party anthems are also still here, particularly on the very sweary track, Woman. One Kesha flaw, which is now a strong strength, is the very simple lyrics, because with the whole theme of empowerment running throughout it, these help it be applicable to anyone in a tough situation, particularly lines like Hymn for the Hymnless on Him, and also just the classic phrase, "Don't let the bastards get you down," on the track Bastards. However, one track that I think doesn't really fit is the track Godzilla, where in the context of all these tracks of empowerment, it's just a little cheesy strum pop ballad about a girl dating Godzilla. And it's hard to tell because she said her influences include the Beatles, wherever it was just attempt at the psychedelic nonsense lyrics, or whether it is a serious one about a doomed relationship with a vicious guy, we don't know, but alas, it just doesn't seem to fit. And also, this is a problem for us British people, this is the one where the teeny, high-pitched, strong American accent can really get a bit grating. So that's essentially where that sort of vocal style from the old album shows up again. But alas, even that one isn't that bad. It's hard to put a downer on this album, not just with the context being that it is actually really good for a pop album nowadays. As for best tracks, of course, there's no way to down the mega emotional powerhouses that are Praying and Learn to Let Go. But I'd say Him is easily the catchiest of them and delivers the message the most clearly, and is easily the most one that will appeal to fans of both the old and the new Kesha. Woman is also one that will highly appeal to the fans of the old Kesha, with being strongly reminiscent of We Are Who We Are in its rhythm, I think. I'm not sure if anyone else heard that. And also maintains that whole party yeah vibe, while also fitting that empowerment yeah vibe in as well. So again, fits in the best of both worlds. Let Them Talk is also a great empowerment anthem that's highly catchy and with a good bit of oomph, good bit of attitude to it. And it's also helped by the vocals of the Eagles of Death Metal, who were also a band that went through hard times, and they were the band performing a concert during the Paris terrorist attacks back a few years ago. As for worst tracks, I'd easily say Boots, because the whole country thing it's aiming for was just done better on the track Hunt You Down, which came just one track earlier before it. And also Godzilla, because as I said, it doesn't really fit into the whole scheme of things, and I don't know, it just sticks out like a sore thumb for me. But even that could just be seen as a bit of bubblegum, just cheesy fun teen pop. The stuff that Kesha did for years, and so has pretty much honed that skill well. This album gets a solid rainbow-coloured 7.5. It's catchy pop with a strong, meaningful message, rich instrumentation all throughout, particularly in the variety of influences, including country music, which is heavily tinged all over it, whilst remaining true to the old stuff and keeping the fans happy with a good amount of electronic synths, all rich throughout it. If you like this album, I'd highly recommend listening to the later albums of Katy Perry, particularly Witness, where she starts to tackle darker themes, particularly commercialisation on Slave to the Rhythm. Plus, I'd also recommend The Fame Monster by Lady Gaga, which manages to make some of the catchiest electronic pop I've ever heard, whilst capturing the same fun and quirkiness, but also being a lot darker on the whole, as you can probably tell by the cover alone. Plus, this also has the old country influence, particularly on the track Speechless. That's all for now. Ta-da!